Well, I want to give you a couple different angles on things like usual because, you already know what's going on. It's just taking a lot longer than you think. And I'll tell you that the people that are in Wall Street and also any people that are in finance, if there's ever is a major financial collapse, they'll fight like tooth and nail to keep it going, and it's not going to collapse in one big shot. Now, this is a Wall Street broker here, right here, going to his job right now. He's got the scuba tanks on, the fins. One of the reasons for that is because the caca-doodle is getting really deep, and the smell is getting pretty bad in Wall Street with all the garbage that's going on. That they actually have to bring their own air supply, and they have to be able to swim through all the crap that's going on over there. Um, Reality is that a lot of people in Wall Street are moving out of New York, moving to other parts of the world, even Nashville, Tennessee. It's kind of telling you the writing's on the wall for even that area. So, I guess they're diversifying their risk because someday you might see a major attack on New York. It started out with I think it was in '93. They had a bombing in World Trade Center. Then they had like the World Trade Center just blow up all the way with the explosives inside at the same time the planes hit. Right. Next time, maybe it'll be like a couple blocks of the city or something. I don't know. Who knows? It doesn't surprise me because you know how this game goes, right? We all know how the game goes. It's the same old game that's always been going on. But I think they're running kind of fearful. But they think they got it all figured out. Like right here, here's the top elite, that's sitting back smoking dope, looking at videos, trying to figure out what's the next move. I always look at it like in a common sense way because no matter how smart somebody is, there's always people out there looking to get in your position. Yeah, of course, the U.S. and the Western elite and the London city of London financial establishment has always been on top for umpteen decades now. But there's always people trying to get in their spot. They don't always have things figured out, but that doesn't mean they're all going to go down all at once. And the other side of the equation is if it does go down, well, I guess compared to Hillary Clinton, anybody on the other side of the world looks good. Even Vladimir Putin. Okay, but no matter what happens, we got to stand independent as individuals and versus look to a leader to save our ass. It's one kind of reason I'm not too keen on a Trump phenomenon, even if he's real. I look at it like everybody stands on their own 2 feet, is financially secure in producing their own things that they need on a daily basis, and they do not need to be beholden to a leader to save their ass. I don't like that whole freaking concept. That's not really the American way at all. Um, Now I want to talk about this Pope. Now this is not the wall by the Vatican, or it's not the proposed wall what Trump talks about with the Mexican border. But I found it so ludicrous that the Pope who made this comment, this guy, I'm Catholic, okay, and I think Catholic is the one true religion, right? Mainly because of Fatima. You can tell me I'm full of this or whatever, fine. Mainly because of Fatima. But I do recognize that this current Pope and the one before him, but especially this current guy, is a New World Order sellout operative. I know that. You don't have to tell me that. But it's so funny. It's so funny because it's so obvious on the surface when this guy is making these political statements. But I want to tell you something else beyond this about silver and gold, though. But first, I want to get into this. He's telling Trump about this wall is so bad and everything. We should build bridges. Well, you know what? They got a freaking 20, 30-foot wall around the Vatican. And he's got his own private army. But you know what? What else the Pope have? Gold, like up precious metals, jewelry, artwork. He's not invested in paper wampum like everybody else. He is. I'm sure they do. But the treasures in the Vatican are, nobody really knows what the hell they got. You talk about audit the Fed, the Vatican probably got way more money than any country. That's a fact. It's been going on for like umpteen centuries. Who knows what the hell they got for treasure? And even if something is like a precious scroll, or what's in the libraries, what kind of manuscripts they got, I don't know what kind of value could be assigned to things that are only one of a kind. I mean, it's they got got wealth beyond anybody. It's like, oh, help the poor. Give me money so I can help the poor. I look at the Vatican almost like big government. Same kind of garbage. Although I'm Catholic, okay? I can't criticize it. You know, like it's just like anything. It's just like anything. The higher up you go, the worse you are. Sometimes people get on this thing about, oh, it's the Jewish people doing this. No, it ain't the Jewish people. You're looking at the very top guys with the most money. The more money and more power you got, the worse you are. I don't care who the hell you are. You're Chinese. You're from, Argentina or something. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. You're from Barbados. I don't know anything, right? The higher up they got, the more money you got, usually the worse you are. That's why I don't really trust Trump too much, but who the hell knows? Now, the elite are, they always think they got to figure it out. They always put a nice front on, nice happy-go-lucky face, like, hey, I'm the guy that got all the answers. I'm going to hook you up, like, elect me. Sweet talks you, but basically they're really like salivating out the mouth for like what they're going to get in their, by getting elected to that office. Because you realize anybody that gets elected to the office, when they got like millions and millions and millions of dollars, in some cases billions of dollars, what the hell are they taking a freaking peon job like the president for? When you're looking at that job, like what it pays, unless you got all kinds of inside hookups, right? It's not just over a power trip because the job ain't worth it. To tell you the truth, man, you're better off being, a Hollywood movie star than BSing around being a president because there's too much pressure in that job. But there's other things going on all the time. But this is what I got to say about the common sense of like precious metals, especially the poor man's precious metal, silver, is because if you look at what the elite, the highest elite, which is the Pope, what do they got? Precious metals, man. What have they been investing in forever? Precious metals, right? Everything's precious metals. And, but the Catholic, overall, just like the people, they don't see what's going on. But that's just like the same kind of smoke and mirrors that's going on in the financial establishment, too. They see, a place, a bank that's got marble walls. They see a place that's got, it's got a name out there that's been out there for 100 years. They see people dressed in suits. They see people talking nice. They see polished marble and glass and mirrors and stuff. And, the place looks like it's real secure. But that's how, it's all image control. That's 99% of it. They play the game with religion. They play the game with politics. They play the game with finance. But the thing is, don't trust them with your money. Don't trust them with your salvation either. Don't even trust them with that. Although I'm a Catholic, and I can tell you right now that I think the Catholic way and the true way, not the New World Order Pope way, is the real way. It's almost like going along with, am I a laissez-faire capitalist? I believe in capitalism on a small entrepreneur level, cottage business, small cottage industry, small business. Yeah, I don't believe in big business. Same type of thing. Same type of thing. But, the situation is always like, you got to be kind of like laid back about this thing and not get too uptight all the time because I know there's people out there that are constantly hitting the fear button to the max, and it's like it's overload, man. I mean, how much of this crap can you take? And I noticed that the same people that have been wrong maybe for the last 5 years, and I've been wrong somewhat. I have not been pushing as extreme as some of the other people. Like, yeah, silver's going to thousands of dollars an ounce right away to the moon, and yeah, the elite are on the run, and yeah, the freaking comics is going to bust any minute. I'm trying to really encourage people to stick with it through the hard times. That's really what my modus operandi is. People think I'm trying to sell you something. I'm not trying to sell you something. I mean, whatever. What am I selling you, right? I'm actually just giving you a little psychological pep talk and common sense and throwing in some of the real facts that are from the major media. Now, I already went over a lot of those facts in the major media already, which are agreeing with what the alternative media says, which is, the interest. They're talking right now, even recently in the major media, they're talking about permanent easing, forever, easy, like permanent QE, permanent QE. So that's like what we've been saying all along. They're never going to be able to get off the stimulus until everything blows up, right? So in the meantime, just kick back and relax and don't worry about it. And as the guy is, we'd be asking the girl on the motorcycle, "What's up your butt, princess?" Whatever. I mean, just take a joke here and what the hell with it, because people get too uptight about all this bullshit, and I just gotta freaking throw some wingers in there once in a while that kind of throw people off base once in a while, because it's like, okay, come on, man, how much of this doom and gloom Darth Vader shit, the Death Star is getting ready to blast us, the kingdom come kind of bullshit. How much of that crap you gonna take, right? Now I do know one thing that came up recently, though. I think is really bad news. Rest in peace, and Scalia, 1936 to 2016, U.S. Constitution died with him, because he was one of the guys that um, was interpreting the Constitution, a certain way that it should be, like, whatever's written in the English language. I don't even want to put it as a strict constitutionalist and all this kind of stuff, the letter of the law. English means something, right? If I say up, it means up. You don't mean up means go 90 degrees this way. You know, if I say, stop on the red light, it doesn't mean you stop on the orange light or you stop on the green light or some bullshit like that, right? I mean, the English language means something. So when the Constitution means something, words mean stuff. They're talking like this game, like it's a living constitution. So, we could say the word, um, you know, whatever, grass, grass. Grass means something else. It means oil, whatever. We could say something stupid like that. It's a living constitution, so we can change the meaning of words. But, I look at it like this. I could look at it like this. I could play that living constitution crap too. I could say, well, you know what? You know what the Constitution really means? All these communist bastards trying to take away our freedoms. We need to whack them now. Oh, really? Yeah, yeah, right. How's that? That's a living Constitution, man. Preemptive strike. The hell with it, man. So, I mean, you can play. It's a two-edged sword. You know, I could say that. And one thing I do have to say is I got a lot more faith in the younger people now that I look. Now, I'm not a Democrat, but, I can kind of see if you're a Democrat with Bernie. Like, I'm not going to freaking argue for Bernie too much, but he's got some good points about he's against Wall Street. He's afraid to say too much with Hillary because he's afraid of being, like, dead in a small plane crash or something like that or whatever. But, the younger generation, I looked at the younger generation of Democrats, and I don't know if this is showing up here on the bottom. They're basically looking at Hillary and they're saying, "You're a witch. Oh my God, you're a witch." And everybody that's 45, well, not everybody, she's got all her support 45 and over. Like what do you call that? You- it's kind of like they've been stoned out so many freaking years, man. I don't know what the hell the deal is. I don't know why. It's the Woodstock generation. But the younger generations, like not the baby boomers, but the Generation X and Generation Y, if they're Democrat, they generally don't support this lady, not at all. And I'm thinking, well, there's a lot of hope there. It's a shame that it's my generation. Well, I don't freaking. I see through Hillary, and I can see where somebody can like Bernie, because I could look at every other candidate that's on the Republican side. Like, maybe I'm leaning towards Cruz, but I tell you, there's shit wrong with him. I already know it. You know. So, actually, I would have voted for Jim Webb, the Democrat. He was the Vietnam veteran, the highly decorated Vietnam veteran, former senator from Virginia, and Harvard fellow. He don't get the first base though, because I don't know what the hell's wrong with the freaking Woodstock generation, but I got a lot of faith. So you see, like a lot of people say there's no hope. Crap, you know what? Most of the freaking things that got screwed up with the Woodstock generation, I think. Not everybody, because I'm from that generation, but I know I wasn't in with the crowd, like, for the most part. I know it wasn't. They're basically burned out on, the funny plant, which is okay if you don't do it too much, but if you do a real lot of it every day, you're burned out on it. And maybe you think that you look at Hillary and say, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." Anyway, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really want to knock the weed stuff. I don't smoke the weed, but I hate the laws where they freaking slam people for this shit. But, I look at it like this. People actually that are younger are probably going to be people that are reinvested in silver too. The older people freaking still trust the bullshit system. I actually think the younger people are going to be the ones going to silver. They're waking up. They're waking up more to this crap. If they're waking up to, if they know more about Hillary than the older generation, I already got freaking more faith in them, Generation X and Generation Y, than the baby boomers, even though I'm one of the baby boomer generation myself. But, they could see things. They could see left and right, just like twins. I could see what's going on in different directions. And people are like not thinking, man. I don't know what the hell they calcified their penile gland or some shit. I don't know what's wrong with these older people, man. The Woodstock generation, man, they got stoned and their penile gland is stoned. They'll still, I don't know. I don't know what the hell's wrong with them. But the thing is, you got to think like a little bit on your feet and see what the hell's coming up because, you know, the quite obvious thing I could tell you all about. Looks like Saudi and Iran, I think, are going to go to war. When they go to war, you're going to see the oil prices go right through the roof. I think that's going to be the harbinger for bringing in, not just high oil prices, but it's going to be, it's actually going to kind of save the dollar in some ways because the high prices of oil priced in dollars will create a demand for dollars. But the problem is, it's gonna wipe out the middle class because right now the middle class is kind of just holding together because of low oil prices. It's giving them a little extra money when they don't have that much money coming in due to low oil prices. But what's going to happen is when this happens, it's going to look the usual deal is they're going to present to you on a silver platter another freaking solution, and it's going to be something that's not going to work, or it's going to be something that's only going to feed the elite, which is why they're so freaking worried about Bernie Sanders, for instance. I'm not a fan of him, but I know why the elite are scared of this guy. They're running scared. I talked about Ackman, whatever it was, coming out and saying, "Oh, we got to back Michael Bloomberg," and I'm like, "Yeah, I can see what's coming up. The elite are running scared." And when the Pope comes out and talks about this wall, I mean, it just pisses people off, man. I mean, I don't care if you're like Catholic or you're not Catholic or where you're from. And it's like, what is this guy getting involved in politics for? I thought when you're a religious entity, you're not supposed to get involved in politics. You're not allowed to. It's got to be strictly from religion. Maybe that is partly religion, but then when you got a wall around your own Vatican City about 20, 30 feet high and your own private army and your own security in the world, and you don't let anybody in that you don't want let in, I mean, come on, you're a hypocrite. So I think people are getting fighting mad, just like old girl here with the freaking baseball bat. It's like, this is going to be a bunch of bullshit. But, every time, I'm a liberal in a true way. I hate freaking even like saying, oh, these damn liberals and all that, because the ones they call liberals today, they're not liberal. They're freaking myopic freaking jerks that gotta have things their way. They gotta control everybody. They want everything dictated to everybody. They want the world to be a certain way, and that's the way we want it. And everybody's got to think this way, and they got to judge everybody and all this bullshit. Well, you know what? That ain't liberal. That ain't liberal. These guys are freaking communist control freaks, man. That's all they are. But I'm gonna tell you though, the calm is now it's between now and when the storm comes. There's a lot of various predictions out there that 2016 is going to see a major upset in the market. It's kind of already started. They were talking about that in 2015. But you did see 2015 did wind up being lower at the end of the year than it started out. But it's kind of a slow rollover. But then things can really unwind pretty fast inside of a month. But the big tip off, I already dropped this in here once, but I have to say it again because it's very important, is that there's going to be permanent easing, permanent QE. They're going to keep printing money till the whole thing just blows up. And Maybe it's going to blow up literally. I don't know. But the thing is, I have to tell you this too. Even when you're talking about this stuff with the Constitution, um, I got to be a little political on here. I got to be a lot political on here because it's actually a lot with concern about what's going on in the financial world. When you got, um, things, people going against the Constitution, you got people like Hillary Clinton giving up state secrets. You got people like Hillary Clinton basically, you know, hiding all her emails on a private server so she could deal with foreign powers so nobody could see what the hell she's doing. And it wasn't just because it was on there because I felt like doing it. She was hiding what she was doing, right? Now, she's basically making a bunch of backroom deals with these foreign powers for political gain. Now, I have to tell you, though, when you got that kind of shit going on, it's not one person. It's not even just her team. You know who's also guilty? Everybody who protects her. Everybody that knows what's going on. But you know why these people don't do nothing? Because they're all getting paid. You know? Don't let me, I can look at even like the FBI, the Secret Service, CIA, NSA, and all these people that know what's really going on with Hillary Clinton, and they're not saying a damn word about it. It's because they're getting paid, and they're under an oath if they get in trouble if they say anything about it. But, if they really wanted to, they could get that information out and fix everything. But they won't because they don't want to jeopardize their money. Their money. Which means to me, these people are all a bunch of freaking traitors too. So I don't really give a damn if the whole government goes under, man. I don't give a shit. It's fine by me, you know. I just want people to have a little bit more common sense, and when things do go under, not to get emotionally like, oh, the sky's falling, because what the hell you need the government for? Really? You know? I mean, if you got bad people out there trying to do you harm, well, you defend yourself, That's all you got to worry about, really. Otherwise, what the hell does the government do? Nothing. It's good for the people that are on the grain dole, getting some kind of bennies, but if you're not one of those people, what the hell does the government really do? Yeah, it's defense of the nation, but then again, you know, fine, it's defense of the nation. So to me, that's about the main thing you really need. But you look at what's going on with defense of the nation, they can't even whip ISIS's butt. And I can tell you something else about this ISIS deal, because Google government, quite obvious, doesn't like you saying anything against the refugees or ISIS, like directly or indirectly, because if you say anything like that, they say, well, this video is not monetary friendly and shit. Like, I'm like, man, I already know what's going on with that shit. I'm not sure what the overall plan is, but there's something fishy going on here. But, I look at it like this. The funny money's going to stop once eventually, and you as an individual, not only should you really, I'm going to tell you a little about, yeah, buy silver, fine, but I think most people that have been listening to my channel or have listened to any of the videos I did on silver have already bought silver. I want you to also buy things that you need to really survive. And you notice I do things like that left and right, even though I don't need them. I just buy here and I buy there, just look for the best deal. Instead of buying more and more silver, you just overload yourself on silver left and right. You want to buy other things that actually are going to keep you surviving in a total collapse. And you know what? If there's a total collapse, good. If there's a total collapse, good. Fuck it, I don't give a shit. I mean, I got plenty of freaking food, firepower, and fuel. I don't give a shit. I mean, the whole world could just end right now. I don't give a damn rat's ass, and it don't bother me. I'm not worried about it, and I'm not dwelling upon it either. That's my situation. I mean, they could pull the plug on the whole damn thing all over the place. I don't give a shit. Fine. Boom. Who cares? Don't bother me any. And that's really how you should be. You should have your stuff prepped that you can run generators. You could freaking, got plenty of food on hand. You got your water supply. You got an independent well. You got, I don't know, you got, tools and all that kind of shit. And you got everything you need, right? And you got a wall. Pope and his, I don't want a wall, man. I'll be like, get the hell out of here, New World Order Pope Francis. You fucking so full of shit. And I'm Catholic, man. I'll tell you that right now. So, anyway, I just going to bring this out like in a kind of laissez-faire, loose update. I already went over a lot of things about what was going on in the Baltic Dry Index, what's collapsed in the world. I already went over with the railroads in the United States are doing. There's all these layoffs and conductors, a lot less rail activity. The retail market sucks left and right. Not only the bricks and sticks, but even online sales aren't doing that good. There's a lot of major names in retail that are going down. Even you heard about Walmart stores, but that's partly because of online. Um, they're doing permanent easing now. They're talking about negative interest rates. Maybe that won't work over here, but you know, it's and also think that the lower they brought these oil prices, the higher they're going to go. They're going to go like to new heights that we never seen before, and then they'll go to electric cars, and then, well, I'll tell you what, don't get an electric car. Because they're going to use the technology to track you and they'll have know every aspect of your life, what's going on. You don't need that kind of shit. No way in hell. Actually, the only way to bust the system is to stay old school. You might even want to go back to like whatever, like in the 1800s technology all the way, primitive technology. You don't need all this bullshit. The problem is they tax you. That's the one thing. But if the government freaking goes under, no problem, man. No problem. Who cares? And then, but I guess when it really comes down to it, if the government goes under, what they'll do is they'll say that whatever the government owes to China, whatever it is, I think they promised all the land and real estate and buildings in the United States to China as collateral for all the debt. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting. And you're not going to be able to depend on the government to get your ass out of that bullshit. It's going to be us against them. It's going to be like the Confederacy fighting against the North or some shit. That's how bad it's going to be, man. So I'll worry about that when it comes up. But for now, I just want to tell you, like, Wall Street, the New World Order, and the Pope, they're all basically the same kind of crap. They're blowing smoke up your ass. And, the shit's getting so deep with all their garbage, and the smell is getting so bad. You got to be like this skin diver suit going to getting in with these people. You got to wear your own oxygen tank. You got to be able to swim through the crap. It's gotten that bad. But they still will not go down that fast because I do know how these people are in business. They are 80-hour a week workaholics because I was one of them. And if there's something that needs to be fixed, and if everything's falling apart, they'll find ways to shore it up. It won't go down that fast, like these clowns are saying in the alternative media. But the fact that we got people like in our, our government, like with Hillary Clinton, that's a number. To me, that's a number one indication of major corruption. It's not just her; it's everybody around her. It's all the FBI, it's the CIA, it's the NSA, it's a whole bunch of them. The Secret Service. They could have freaking brought this bitch down a long time ago if they wanted to, but everybody gets paid, so no, it's not my job to freaking risk my neck to say anything about it, right? So, and I just have to repeat again, I got a lot more faith in Generation X and Y than they do the baby boomers. Well, I'm a baby boomer, but I definitely was not a Woodstock baby boomer. Man, Generation X and Generation Y realizes what the hell the beast is about, They're also turning away from formal religion. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean they're not religious or spiritual, but they're turning away from the bullshit, right? So, there's hope. There's green shoots out there, and, as long as ISIS doesn't get a hold of the green shoots, everything's going to be fine. So, but that's another story because I realize Google government must love ISIS and the refugees and all this other bullshit. I'm like, man, what a bunch of crap, man, what's coming up left and right. But, and there's only so much I can say on here. I'd really like to say a lot more. And, like, I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Tumblr. I'm not on freaking, what the hell's other, Facebook, fuckbook, when, the hookers go. I'm not on any of that shit. MySpace, none of that crap. That's old. That's has been shit. It's basically stuff from like 8 years ago. So I mean, I'm basically this. YouTube's pretty good. I mean, they're pretty open on the stuff. But I mean, there is a hidden hand back there with what they like and what they don't like, and kind of noticed that because some of the stuff out there with ISIS, I was like, wow, man, they don't want you criticizing that group, and I'm like saying, wow, man, that's crazy. So there is some really rotten plans going on. Just beware. I'm probably preaching to the choir right now, and keep your defenses up, just like old girl here with a baseball bat, because when it comes right down to it, silver's not the be all end all solution for everything. But like I said, don't worry too much about these jackasses playing all the games because anytime they make a decision to interpret the Constitution as a living document, well, you can interpret it as a living document some other way. You can interpret it the same way Chiang Kai shek would have interpreted it. Like, you're a communist? I'll kill you. Fuck it. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can do that. So, there's always ways, everything they pull out of their ass kind of works against them. Now, how's that? All right? Over and out, and have a good day, and hang on to your silver. And not much is going on right now. It's going up a little, down a little, up and down a little bit. But, um, well, we'll see what happens if there's this big battle in Syria with Saudi Arabia with all their troops. That was something else I was seeing. I was thinking, well, maybe. But when it happens, it's going to happen, and oil is going to go through the roof. The middle class is going to get crushed. And you got to be prepared with food, knowing how to grow the food. You're going to have all your shit in line. And not only silver, but everything else. Everything else. Everything else. But still, silver is going to be a great investment. And you know what I'm going to do with my silver? Well, a good part of it? Land and maybe like a steel framed log cabin with, girders inside of it or something, Pressure treated wood and iron I-beam girders inside here, man. Make it really strong. Maybe that'll be cool and cool. So we shall see.